Advaitam Syat Sri Chaitanyam Namamitam. Okay, so we'll resume. Uh, who's sharing the screen today?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam, Nandpatni Yashaswini.
Yes, for those who did not join last class, you can tell them the chapter number and where we are for those
Yes, yes,
yeah,
Prabhuji.
those who
This
have
is
the book.
chapter 26, and um, I actually I saw it on the group only. Suchismita Mataji had
Oh, you were also not there last class. Okay, fine.
no, no,
Okay,
I was not Prabhuji.
sure. Okay.
So she had mentioned sharing a screenshot also. I'll share it again.
No worries, no worries. Don't have to share the screenshot.
Okay.
We can start from here. This I know that this is where we stopped, but then I was just wanted to be sure that everybody. I mean, those are book are on that page, and others who is looking at a device other than the screen share can also use the device. Okay, so we'll start. You could start the reading, Madhji.
Proji, I'm so sorry today. I won't be able to read. If anyone else wants to read.
Sure.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Suchismita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
Yeah.
please accept my humble obeisances. Yes, Prabhuji, absolutely.
Okay, please go ahead. Yeah.
The next day, after visiting the Jagannath temple early in the morning, the Bhattacharya went to see Lord Chaitanya and he offered his respects by falling down before the Lord. He then began to explain his past undesirable behavior. When he asked the Lord to speak something about devotional service, the Lord began to elaborately explain the verse in the Brihadaranyaka Puran, beginning Harer Nam, Harer Nam. While hearing this explanation, the Bhattacharya became more and more ecstatic. Seeing the condition of his brother-in-law, Gopinath Acharya said, "My dear Bhattacharya, previously I had said that when one is favored by the Supreme Lord, he will understand the techniques of devotional service. Today, I am seeing this fulfilled." The Bhattacharya offered him his due respects and replied, "My dear Gopinath Acharya, it is through your mercy that I have received the mercy of the Supreme Lord. The mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be obtained by the mercy of a pure devotee. Lord Chaitanya's mercy was bestowed upon the Bhattacharya because of Gopinath Acharya's endeavor. You are a great devotee of the Lord," the Bhattacharya continued, "and I was simply blinded by my academic education. So it is only through your agency that I have obtained the mercy of the Lord." Lord Chaitanya was greatly pleased to hear the Bhattacharya say that a man can achieve the mercy of the Lord through the agency of a devotee. Lord Chaitanya appreciated his words and embraced the Bhattacharya, confirming the statement. The Lord then requested the Bhattacharya to see Jagannath in the temple, and the Bhattacharya started out for the temple accompanied by Jagannatha and
Jagadananda.
Jagadananda and Damodara, two principal associates of Lord Chaitanya. After seeing Jagannath, the Bhattacharya returned home, bringing with him much prasadam purchased from the temple. He sent all this prasadam to Lord Chaitanya through his Brahman servant. The Bhattacharya also dispatched two verses written on a palm tree leaf and requested Jagadanand to do him a favor by delivering them to the Lord. Thus, Lord Chaitanya was offered the prasadam and the verses on the palm leaf. But before reaching the Lord, Mukund Datta, who had also undertaken the delivery of the verses, had copied the verses into his book. When Lord Chaitanya read the verses on the palm leaf, he tore it to pieces, for he never liked to be praised by anyone. The verses only survive because they had been copied by Mukunda Dutt.
I think we did this. I mean, from my recollection, we did this already. But maybe I did it in a different class. I'm not sure whether we did it in this
Hare
class or a
Krishna.
different class.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we have read this.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So where were we when we stopped last class?
That I have to say, even I also don't remember. Mataji, can you just scroll down a bit?
Yes, I'll do.
We had Prasadam part we read, na? I think we will start from the next chapter, the Ramanand Rai, the meeting with the Ramanand Rai. Is it the next chapter?
Let me check. Let me check. Did we finish this chapter last time?
Yeah, I think we have finished. I think this is what we are supposed to read today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we finished the chapter last.
Yes, because the reference
I had to go to be with Guru Maharaj. I remember. There was a meeting or something. I remember, and I mean something like that, right? Or something else was there. So we finished it.
Yeah, you finished it early. You left at 5.
Mataji picked up this this notification of mine from 26th December.
2 weeks back, is it?
Back. Yes, Mataji.
We had a class after that.
Yes.
Yeah, we had one class. We didn't have class
I had missed that class. I had missed that class.
Okay. One small point that I wanted to bring up is that Prabhupada actually, this whatever we read so far, Prabhupada actually in this Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, text 4, purport. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So Prabhupada in this purport to chapter 11, text 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, he writes, one can neither see, hear, understand, nor perceive the Supreme Lord Krishna by the material senses. But if one is engaged in loving transcendental service to the Lord from the beginning, then one can see the Lord by revelation. So here we can see that, we understand from here that we cannot see, we cannot hear, we cannot understand, nor can we perceive the Supreme Lord Krishna by the material senses. But if one is engaged in loving transcendental service to the Lord from the beginning, then one can see the Lord by revelation. Revelation. So which means that when the Lord so desires, he may reveal himself to us. But we cannot, without that revelation, we cannot see, hear, understand, nor perceive the Supreme Lord Krishna. And the Lord reveals himself when one attentively serves a pure devotee. So that is what was established in that pastime of Gopinath Acharya, Sarvabhattacharya, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because of the mercy of Gopinath Acharya, Sarvabhattacharya, his brother-in-law, was able to understand topics about the Supreme Lord. So the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he revealed himself to Sarvabhattacharya because Gopinath Acharya had a favorable disposition towards Sarvabhattacharya. So that is the key understanding in this, that we can neither see, nor hear, nor understand, nor perceive the Supreme Lord Krishna by material senses. No matter whatever endeavor we may do, it is not possible. Unless the Lord decides to reveal himself. And the Lord decides to reveal himself when one submissively tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. When submissively, attentively follows a pure devotee, then by that process of submissive following of a pure devotee, then the Lord becomes favorably inclined towards that person and he reveals himself. Okay, so let's move on to the next chapter.
Should I continue reading, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Lord Chaitanya and Ramanand Rai, the author of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, has described Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the ocean of transcendental knowledge and Sri Ramanand Rai as a cloud which is produced from that ocean. Ramanand Rai was a greatly advanced scholar in devotional service, and by the grace of Lord Chaitanya, he gathered all transcendental conclusions just as a cloud gathers water from the ocean. As clouds appear from the ocean and then go all over the world to distribute water, which then returns to the ocean, so, by the grace of Lord Chaitanya, Ramanand Rai attained his higher knowledge of devotional service and again, after retiring from service, went to join Lord Chaitanya in Puri. When Lord Chaitanya visited the southern part of India, he first went to the great temple known as Jayada Narsimha Kshetra. This temple is situated in a place known as Simhachala, 5 miles from Vishakhapatnam. The temple is situated on the top of a hill. There are many temples in that area, but the Jayada Narsim Kshetra temple is the largest of all. This temple is filled with beautiful sculpture of interest to many students, and due to its popularity, it is a very rich temple. An inscription in the temple states that the king of Vijayanagar formally decorated this temple with gold and even covered the body of the deities with gold plate. To facilitate attendance at the temple, there are free apartments for visitors. The temple is managed by priests of the Ramanujacharya sect. When Lord Chaitanya visited this temple, he praised the deity and quoted a verse from Sridhara Swami commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam 7.9.1. Ogru api anugraha evayam swabhaktanam nri keshari kesharyava swabhutanam anyesham ugra vikramaha. Although Lord Narasimha is very severe to demons and non-devotees, he is very kind to his submissive devotees like Prahlad. Lord Narasimha appeared as a half-man, half-lion incarnation of Krishna when Prahlad, a boy devotee of the Lord, was harassed by his demonic father Hiranyakashipu. Just as a lion is very ferocious to other animals, but very kind and submissive to his cubs, so Lord Narasimha appeared ferocious to Hiranyakashipu and very kind to his devotee Prahlad. After visiting the temple of Jayada Narasimha, the Lord proceeded further into South India and ultimately reached Vidyanagar on the banks of the Godavari. While on the banks of this river, the Lord remembered the Yamuna river in Vrindavan, and he considered the trees on the bank to be the forest of Vrindavan. Thus, he was in ecstasy there. After taking a bath in the Godavari, the Lord sat near the bank and began chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. While sitting and chanting, the Lord saw that the governor of the province, Sri Ramanand Rai, had reached the banks of the river accompanied by his associates, which included a musical band and many brahmanas. Sorry. Previously, the Lord had been asked by the Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya to visit the great devotee Ramanand Rai at Kabur. The Lord could understand that the man approaching the river bank was Ramanand Rai, and he desired to see him immediately. But because he was in the renounced order of life, he restrained himself from going to see a person involved in political affairs. Being a great devotee, Ramanand Rai was attracted by the features of Lord Chaitanya, who appeared as a sannyasi, and he himself came to see the Lord. Upon reaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ramanand Rai prostrated himself to offer his obeisances and respects. Lord Chaitanya received him by vibrating Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. When Ramanand Rai presented his credentials, Lord Chaitanya embraced him, and both of them were overwhelmed with ecstasy. The Brahmanas who accompanied Ramanand Rai were surprised to see them embracing in transcendental ecstasy. The Brahmanas were all stalwarts, followers of the rituals, and they could not understand the meaning of such devotional symptoms. Indeed, they were rather surprised to see such a great sannyasi touch a Sudra, and they were also surprised to see Ramanand Rai, who was a great governor and practically king of that province, crying simply by touching a sannyasi. Lord Chaitanya understood the Brahmana's thoughts and considered the unfavorable situation. He pacified himself. After this, Lord Chaitanya and Ramanand Rai sat down together. Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya has spoken very highly of you, Lord Chaitanya informed him. So I have come to see you. Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya considers me one of his devotees. Ramanand Rai replied, therefore, he has kindly recommended that you see me. Ramanand Rai very much appreciated the Lord's touching a man of wealth. Generally, a king, governor, or any politician is always absorbed in thoughts of political affairs and pounds, shillings, pence. Therefore, such persons are avoided by sannyasis. Lord Chaitanya, however, knew Ramanand Rai to be a great devotee, and so he did not hesitate to touch and embrace him. Ramanand Rai was surprised by Lord Chaitanya's behavior, and he cited a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.8.4. Great personalities and sages appear in the homes of worldly men just to show them mercy. Lord Chaitanya's special treatment of Ramanand Rai indicated that although Ramanand Rai was born in a non-Brahminical family, he was far, far advanced in spiritual knowledge and activity. Therefore, he was more respectable than one who simply happens to be born in a Brahminical family. Although Ramanand, out of his meek and gentle nature, considered himself to be born in a lower Shudra family, Lord Chaitanya nonetheless considered him to be situated in the highest transcendental stage of devotion. Devotees never advertise themselves as great, but the Lord is very eager to advertise the glory of his devotees. After meeting for the first time that morning on the bank of the Godavari, Ramanand Rai and Lord Chaitanya separated with the understanding that Ramanand Rai would come in the evening to see the Lord. That evening, after the Lord had taken his bath and seated himself, Ramanand Rai came to see him with a servant. He offered his respects and sat down before the Lord. Before Ramanand Rai could even ask the Lord a question about the advancement of spiritual knowledge, the Lord said, please quote some verses from scriptures about the ultimate goal of human life. Sri Ramanand Rai at once replied, a person who is sincere in performing his occupational duty will gradually develop a sense of God consciousness. In this connection, he quoted a verse from the Vishnu Puran 3.8.9, which states that one worships the Supreme Lord by following the principles of one's occupational duty, and that there is no alternative for satisfying him. The purport is that human life is meant for understanding one's relationship with the Supreme Lord and acting in that relationship. Any human being can do this by dovetailing himself in the service of the Lord, while discharging his prescribed duties. For this purpose, human society is divided into four classes: the intellectuals, Brahmanas, the administrators, Kshatriyas, the merchants, Vaishyas, and the laborers, Shudras. For each class, there are prescribed rules and regulations, as well as occupational functions. The prescribed duties and qualities of the four classes are described in the Bhagavad Gita 18.4144. A civilized society should be organized uh, A civilized society should be organized so that people follow the prescribed rules and regulations for their particular class. At the same time, the spiritual advancement, they should follow the four stages of ashram, namely the student life, brahmacharya, householder life, grastha, retired life, vanaprastha, and renounced life, sannyasa. Ramanand Rai stated that those who strictly follow the rules and regulations of these 8 social divisions can actually satisfy the Supreme Lord. And one who does not follow them certainly spoils his human form of life and glides down towards hell. One can peacefully achieve the goal of human life simply by following the rules and regulations which apply to oneself. The character of that particular person develops when he follows the regulative principles in accordance with his birth, association, and education. The divisions of society are so designed that many people with different characteristics can be regulated under those divisions for the peaceful administration of the society and for spiritual advancement as well. The social classes can be further characterized as follows. One whose aim is to one, one whose aim is to understand the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, and one who has devoted himself to learning the Vedas and similar literatures is called a Brahmana. 2. A person whose occupation involves displaying force and administering the government is called a Kshatriya. 3. One who is engaged in agriculture, herding cows, and doing business is called a Vaishya. 4. One who has no special knowledge but is satisfied by serving the other 3 classes is called a Shudra. If one faithfully discharges his prescribed duties, he is sure to advance towards perfection. Thus, regulated life is a source of perfection for everyone. One who leads a regulated life centered around devotional service to the Lord attains perfection. Otherwise, such a regulated life is simply a useless waste of time. After hearing Ramanand Rai expound upon the proper execution of a regulated life, Lord Chaitanya said that such a life is simply external. Indirectly, he asked Ramanand to describe something superior to such an external exhibition. Formal execution of rituals and religion is useless unless aimed at attaining the perfection of devotional service. Lord Vishnu is not satisfied simply by a ritualistic adherence to the Vedic instructions. He is actually pleased when one attains the stage of devotional service.
Okay, can you just stop there, Madhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so okay, I think you just need a little bit more and then I'll speak. Just speak a little.
Yeah, okay. According to the verse cited by Ramanand Rai, one can rise to the point of devotional service by ritualistic performance. In the Bhagavad Gita 18.45, verse 6, Sri Krishna, who appeared in order to deliver all classes of people, says, Sve sve karmani abhiratha samsiddhim labhate naraha swakarma niratha siddhim yatha vindati tach shrinu yatha pravritir bhutana yena sarva idam tattatam swakarmana tam abhyacharya siddhim vindati manavaha. A human being can attain the highest perfectional stage of life by worshipping the Supreme Lord, from whom everything has emanated through his occupational duties. This perfectionist process was followed by great devotees like Bodhayana, Tanaka, Tanka, Dramida, Guhadeva, Kaprida, Kapardi, and Baruchi. All these great personalities followed his particular path of perfection. The Vedic injunctions also aim in this direction. Ramanand Rai wanted to present these facts before the Lord, but apparently, mere discharge of ritualistic duties is not perfection. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya said that it was external, indicating that if a man has a material conception of life, he cannot attain the highest perfection, even if he follows all the ritualistic regulations. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, okay. So we've come to the end of the chapter. Uh, Now, please listen carefully as I explain this. It's important. You may ask questions after that, but it's important to understand uh, what you call it. What exactly is being explained here by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Why does it say? Why does he say it is external? Because in the Varnashrama system, if you want to be happy in this material world, or let me put it like other way around, it is not possible to be happy in this material world because it's dukkhalaya shashvatam. Uh, so that's the nature of this material world. So despite the fact that this is dukkhalaya shashvatam, and what are the kinds of dukkha that one experiences in this world? One experiences adhyatmic dukkha, miseries that are produced by the body and mind. Then uh, adi bhautik dukkha, miseries that are produced by other living entities. When we live in a place which is filled with mosquitoes bite us. There are snakes which trouble us. There are other living entities also who can trouble us. Neighbors can trouble us. So many things can happen. So adi bhautika dukkha. Then adi devika dukkha. Some places are hot, some places are cold, earthquakes, famine. So like there are different ways in which we can face miseries due to demigods. So these are three kinds of miseries. Apart from these, then you also have birth, death, old age, disease. So that's why Krishna says that this is a place of misery because nobody can avoid these kind of things. So within the constraints of all of these things, there is a certain kind of life which one can lead to optimize one's experience of material happiness. So that form of life is called the Varnashrama Dharma. So if you follow the Varnashrama Dharma lifestyle, you can optimize your experience of material happiness. So the problem, however, is that people perform Varnashrama Dharma to optimize their experience of material happiness. And one element of Varnashrama Dharma is to worship the Supreme Lord. So the worship of the Supreme Lord happens there to achieve the goal of optimum experience of material happiness. So the worship of the Lord is driven by that motive that I should have optimal experience of material enjoyment. That is the purpose of invoking the Supreme Lord there. Now, that if you look at it, the whole emphasis, the mood, everything is based on what I can derive best from this whole arrangement of the Lord, Varnashrama Dharma. What can I derive the best out of it? What best can I derive from it? On the other hand, bhakti is different. It's not what I can derive from it. The focus is different. What can I give to the Lord? And sometimes there may be some situations which will prevent us from offering the best to the Lord. we take shelter of Varnashrama so that we can be situated according to our psychophysical nature to offer the best to the Lord. That's all. Because otherwise, we may be dysfunctional. So to prevent being dysfunctional, we may be situated in our particular Varna or Ashrama to offer the best to the Lord. That is the idea. So there are two different conceptions. One is to optimize the experience of material happiness according to my psychophysical nature. The other is to offer the best to the Lord that I can offer by being situated in my psychophysical nature. So the former, which is generally the Varnashrama system, you are basically doing it for yourself, but you're invoking the Lord, so that that invoking of the Lord is going to help you fractionally. That's all. And like that you do over many lifetimes. Slowly after many hundreds and millions of lifetimes, slowly your taste for serving the Lord will increase. That's all. But here, in the process of bhakti, we are interested in serving the Lord. And Varnashrama, our psychophysical nature, we are trying to be situated in our psychophysical nature to offer the best to the Lord. Okay, that is a brief explanation of the difference. And Radhakishori Madhuri asked, could you explain the word optimize? Optimize means if one has a psychophysical nature of a Kshatriya, then if one engages in the activities of a Kshatriya, then one can get the best, one can have the most highest experience according to the situation in which one is placed. Like if a Kshatriya has to go and work at a job, let's say in an IT company, there'll be some experience of happiness, but that is not the kind of happiness that's going to be satisfying to someone with the nature of becoming a administrator, somebody who's got a Kshatriya nature. Although it may produce some happiness, but it is not optimum happiness. Optimum happiness means highest happiness can be attained when one is situated in one's constitutional position. As far as the body is concerned, the body's constitutional nature, body and mind's constitutional nature, then the spirit soul's constitutional nature. So if you're situated in the constitutional nature of one's body and mind, then one can get the highest material enjoyment in that position. That's the explanation. Okay, Radhakishori Mati says thanks. Okay, others, do you all have any questions? Looks like everybody's understood.
Yes, Prabhuji, understood and still processing. So,
but it's very easy to get carried away by these things. Huh? It's not that, I mean, unless one keeps one's focus on bhakti, if one just gets focused on becoming situated in one's psychophysical nature alone, then one can also get carried away by it. So therefore, it's called Daivi Varnashrama, which means a pure devotee is conducting it and is being practiced under the guidance of a pure devotee. Because otherwise, the senses will drag you towards the materialistic conception. You're situated in your constitutional nature psychophysically. It's very attractive, right? The material world will suddenly start becoming very attractive to you. There's a nature of Maya. Maya will cover the miseries and try to make it, although the miseries exist, it's called the covering potency of Maya. It will make it cover and make the experience enjoyable. So there are two potencies of Maya, Avarnatmika and Prashekatmika. So one is the covering potency, one is the throwing potency. When one gets thrown into a material situation, one gets rattled. So it's the throwing potency rattles you. Then there is the covering potency. The covering potency of the Lord of Maya makes you comfortable. Like Indra, once he was cursed to become a pig, hog. Later, when it was time for him to, when the period of the curse was over, and he was to ascend back to heaven, he refused to go because he had become comfortable in the life of a hog. That is called the covering potency of Maya. So that covering potency is always there. So when one is situated in one's constitutional nature of the body and mind, then the material miseries may not appear very significant. Oh, it's called the covering potency of Maya. So a pure devotee has to come and rattle us, transcendentally rattle us, and put us in touch with Krishna's energy. So that is the point. Otherwise, it's very easy to get carried away. One will end up doing Varnashram for one's own sake. One will forget about bhakti.
Prabhuji, I have a question. Can I ask now?
Yes.
So, Prabhuji, for, say, suppose somebody like me to do what kind of work in the material world for sustenance, for this, should we be consulting our spiritual master or senior devotees? I mean, how would it be according to our varna? Because it's not by birth, it's as per our nature.
So this is a material thing anyway, no?
Yes.
You don't have to necessarily consult a spiritual master to be engaged in what you like to be engaged. Unless you are doing already some service which is going to change, or some service is going to get affected, then you need some guidance from a superior. But otherwise, you're free to choose whatever you want to choose. I mean, of course, if factors like association, what kind of association, that you may need some help of experienced devotees. But in general, it is not some, I don't know how to put it, you don't need to consult a guru to be figuring out what you want to be engaged in. That you can choose. You can figure it out on your own. You know that you may like teaching, or you may like being an administrator, or you may just not, you may just want to work for someone, or you may just want to do some business. Just to consult the spiritual master for those things. If one is rendering service within the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and one wants to decide which kind of service would be most suitable when there are multiple opportunities to do service, then it may be significant to ask which service would be most pleasing, or which would be most appropriate. But otherwise, in the condition of earning for one's livelihood, then one has to decide according to whatever facilities come, whatever, sorry, not facility, whatever opportunities come.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam.
Yes.
Prabhuji, for me, of a person like me, I don't think in which varna I am in. So, by birth, I'm born in a Brahmin family, but they are doing some business and not following so Brahminical culture so rigidly. And I'm now in Grasta ashram. So I don't know. Sometimes I think that I want to do this service, that service. I want to do so many services. But again, I have a limitation of time and place, and my outs, like my physical visits to frequent visits to temple and all. So, whatever is possible at my end, at living at home, I'm trying to do a bit. So, actually, whenever this Varna and ashram things comes up, then I often think that in which Varna and perfect Varna and ashram, I don't know in which Varna and ashram I actually fit in. But I'm just trying whatever we are learning from Guru Maharaj and Prabhupada. We are I'm trying to do a bit of that and trying to dovetail in Krishna's service. That's it.
Okay. See, classically, there's no such thing as Varnashrama Dharma for women. There is Varnashrama dharma for men actually. For women, it is Sri dharma. There is no concept of Varnashrama dharma for women in the Vedic system. I'm just talking to you the Vedic system. I'm not talking about ISKCON or anything. I'm just telling you classically how it was. So that's why there is a whole thing of something called Sri dharma. So there is Varnashrama dharma for men and Sri dharma for women. Now, in the Sri dharma, it is not that, for example, if you look at Radharani, she knows the 64 arts. Okay, so there are many things that women were taught in the Vedic times. 64 arts. If you look at the Brahma Samhita, those 64 arts are mentioned. Generally, what do you say? A woman would assist whatever. For example, if your woman is born from a Brahmana father, a Brahmana mother, so generally the tendency would be Brahminical, which means that if she accepts a Brahmana husband, she'll be able to adjust to that lifestyle of a Brahmana. But she marries anyone lesser than that. That is very, very, very counterproductive because she's got a higher nature compared to whom she's marrying. So that's a difficult adjustment for her to make. She's already situated in a higher kind of inclination and tendencies. But if let's say a Brahmana marries a woman born from a Kshatriya father or mother or a Vaishya father or mother, then a woman can adapt to something higher more easily, but she cannot adapt to something lower. So that's why it's called Anuloma and Pratiloma kind of marriages, things like that. So some Vedic considerations would be that depending on the kind of parents that a girl is born, if she's born from parents who are engaged in Kshatriya duties, then either she gets married to someone from Kshatriya background or from a Brahmana background, but definitely not Vaishya background or Shudra background. So those considerations were there because she would be able to assist. Women were never worked in the society at large in the Vedic time. There's no such thing as women working outside of home, but within the home, definitely she not within the home, within internally. Let me put it rather, because there were queens who knew how to fight. It's not that they didn't know how to fight. They knew the martial arts and things like that. So sometimes when needed, they would go out and fight. You had Jhansi Ki Rani and things like that. So that's not. But they would generally not venture into the external world unless it's really necessary. So yes, what should a woman's whatever inclination that you have, try to be happily engaged with that inclination. Now society has changed, so it's not that women are confined to internal environments; they are also in the external environments. But whatever one feels comfortable doing for Krishna's service, one can do. There's no because Krishna's service, that's one thing with Krishna's service, everything is absolute. There's no such thing as higher or lower. Like Prabhupada gave the example that when he went to the West, he did everything, right? He was from cooking to cleaning and everything. So in one lecture, he says that if someone is doing the work of sweeping, does not mean that he has become a sweeper. He's serving the Lord. For the service of the Lord, sweeping is necessary. That's absolute. So like that, there's no such thing as higher or lower. So whatever one feels comfortable to do, wherever one feels strength and enthusiasm in service of the Lord, that a woman can take up and do that.
Yes, Prabhuji. There is one question in the chat, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, can you please speak about Sri Dharma? My God, this is on live. This is on live. What is it? YouTube also. See, any dharma, when the word dharma means that which is the intrinsic nature of whatever it's being ascribed to. So there's dharma of the soul, there's dharma of the body. So like that, there are different kinds of dharma. Dharma, So dharma means that which is intrinsic to a person. Now, when it speaks about Sri Dharma, there are two types of beings in this world. I mean, now they say there are many types. Previously, there were only two types. I still believe there are only two types, men and women. You know, but now in America and other places, they speak about 36 or even more types of. I mean, let's not get into that complication. But there are basically two types of beings: the men and the women. Okay, so and each of them have got a certain psychology. So even in uh, modern world, they acknowledge there are certain differences. One of the greatest controversies that is going on in the Western world is uh, men who have undergone a gender change to women, competing in women's sports and defeating women athletes. This is a major controversy in the Western world these days. Major controversy because they are allowing men who have changed their gender to women to compete in athletics or what else, swimming and things like that, and they're winning medals, defeating whatever those who have not undergone a gender change, those who have chosen to remain women. So there'll always be certain differences between men and women which you cannot erase, no matter what you do. So these are constitutional. For example, men are physically generally more stronger than women. That's a fact. That's why even most of the sports, like tennis, they have 5 sets for women. They play 5 sets. Women play 3 sets. So physically, there is a difference in terms of uh, their physical strength. Where physically, men boxers, women boxers cannot fight with men. That's just even that also created a controversy recently in a sport. Where I mean, that's I won't get into that. But anyway, the point is that there are certain areas where men are stronger, but there are other areas where women excel. For example, women, even if you look at the Bhagavad Gita, it says that intelligence is a womanly quality. Intelligence means the ability to constantly, for example, okay, the word three, what does it mean? Three means want to expand material existence. That is the what do you call it, etymological or the Sanskrit explanation of the words three. Want to expand material existence. To expand material existence, you need to have a certain kind of intelligence. You cannot uh, expand material life without intelligence. So intelligence is considered in the Bhagavad Gita to be a womanly quality. So uh, uh, from the Vedic perspective, men were considered to be superior to women simply because of the fact that men had the ability to be not the physical strength part of it. They had the ability to be detached from material life, relationships. It's generally difficult for women to be detached from relationships because they have the intelligence to forge relationships. They have the intelligence to nurture relationships. They have this kind of intelligence. They have in abundance. Whereas men can just cut off from relationships, whatever relationship. Therefore, men would take sannyas in the past. And without taking sannyas, one cannot attain liberation. So how can a woman take sannyas? She can't. So she has to take birth again as a woman. In which body it is suitable, where there are suitable conditions for getting detached and things like that. Okay. So I'm just giving you a basic overview. But in the process of bhakti, things take a little bit of a different consideration. So Prabhupada in his purport, not a little bit, quite a bit of different consideration. So Prabhupada in his purports to Kunti's prayers in the Bhagavatam, he says that uh, generally what is considered an advantage for the path of liberation, which is the sense of detachment, is not so favorable in the process of bhakti. He says that in the process of bhakti, women have an advantage because they can easily surrender. They can easily surrender to the Lord, whereas men cannot. Because of their naturally they have this sense of superiority. They just have that superiority complex, as they say. So because of that superiority complex, they find it difficult to surrender to anyone. Whereas women, by their constitutional nature, they don't have that superiority complex. So therefore, they find it easier to surrender to the law. Now, all of these things, the man's nature, woman's nature, all of these things work very well together when both the men and women follow scriptural regulations very nicely. Then it creates for a harmonious relationship. But the problem is that in today's world, neither the men nor the women follow scripture properly. So therefore, the whole combination becomes very chaotic. The only way of keeping free from chaos is the common understanding of Krishna consciousness, that we want to serve Krishna together. I've tried to keep it as non-controversial as possible. But you can ask some specific question.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you. Prabhuji, one more thing is coming. Suppose one is having one male is having in this birth a male body, and next birth he gets a female body. So man buddhi ankar goes with that. So the tendency will not go there with the person, because I was thinking that what we do, like we try to we try to uh, take care of subtle body as well. Try to make the mind, try to uh, uh, engage the mind in the service of Krishna like this. So if I have female body, if next birth somebody get a male body, so man buddhi ankar will not affect the tendency.
So see, there is something called by its very nature, no? Like it's only a question of degrees. Like for example, anybody who has got a male body has got a certain psychology associated with it. Anyone who has got a female body has got a certain, when you say body, it also includes the mind also. So they've got a certain psychology associated with it. Now, there may be variations of different kinds within that. You know, some may be, some women can be more detached, some women can be less detached. But all women have a strong affinity for relationships. You know, it could only be a question of degrees there, but the basic fact remains. But men, they generally have a tendency, they can just, like if you ask a man, what are you doing? You know, it may be not very uncommon for them to say nothing. You know, nothing. But for a woman, there's no such thing as nothing. It just makes no sense to her. What does it mean, nothing? You know, it's just nothing. There's nothing called nothing according to them. You know, for men, what is that? Just what are you thinking? Nothing. That's very much a reality for men. So what I'm trying to say is that men have the tendency to just snap from everything. You know, they have that ability. It's only a question of degrees, maybe from men to men, but they have the ability to snap from everything. So there are some basic things which remain the same, but only it's a question of degrees. Okay. Now, generally, the male body is considered advantageous for the path of liberation. Even Shankaracharya said, without sannyas, you cannot get mukti. But since we are not interested in mukti, in fact, Kumbh Mela is going on. A lot of people are going there to get mukti. But devotees are not interested in mukti, right? Devotees are interested in developing prema. And for developing prema, it is advantageous to be in a woman's body. So we have to see according to time, place, or according to the context. That's what Bhagavatam explains. However, we have to also be careful. The advantage is because of what? Advantage is because of the ability to surrender. Okay? Because the ability to surrender, it is an advantage. That's not the beginning and end of it. We have to maintain that surrender, right? Because we can also get carried away by other things, carried away by distractions. You know, so if we get carried away by distractions, then again, you're putting yourself in a very disadvantageous situation. So we have to see the context of the presentation, Vedic literature, what they're presenting, and make the best use of that presentation. I mean, take advantage of it. You know, because otherwise, just saying that okay, I'm in a woman's body, I have more advantage doesn't mean anything actually. It means that you have to maintain that. Okay, I have to maintain the attitude of surrender. Men also, they may know that, okay, we have got a superiority complex. But if they understand, okay, I should give up this. And if they are trying to surrender constantly, that's the right thing to do, right? So we have to still be constant. That's why Prabhupada said Krishna consciousness is 24 hours. It is not that we just think and just relax. No, we have to take full advantage of our strengths, natural God-given strengths, and what is it? Diminish our weaknesses by increasing our strengths.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
See, all the instructions that you may find in scripture, for example, Varnashrama Dharma, Stri Dharma, all of this have to be understood in the whole context of, it is a whole package. It cannot be just isolated and applied indiscriminately or blindly. So, for example, today in the Bhagavatam class in Mayapur, there is this question about, we have this philosophy, right? That whatever happens, somehow we are responsible for whatever happens due to past karma or whatever. Okay, but all these teachings are presented in a Vedic society where justice is administered perfectly. When justice is not administered perfectly, so then if justice is not administered perfectly, then these teachings become very difficult to understand or even appreciate. So from the whole, if you look at the whole perspective of Vedic wisdom, the whole context, I said the whole of it, then all these things make sense. Varnashram Dharma, Sri Dharma, all of it. But if we just isolate it and just apply it indiscriminately or blindly, then it makes no sense. Or it may appear even, it may appear counterproductive. It not only it appears, it can become counterproductive. Like Prabhupada, in one letter he writes, that he writes to a man. He says that now that you got married, do not be under the impression that your wife should listen to whatever you say and you are the Lord now. He makes it a point to make him understand that there may be certain privileges which come with whatever marriage, but that does not mean that one gets into that mentality, of, for example, let's say there are people who can only work for others, right? You ask them to do a business, they cannot do it. You ask them to become administrators, they cannot become administrators. What to speak of Brahmanas? They can only do jobs which just work for others, and they're just content and happy working for others. Okay? But that does not mean that if somebody has that nature, you take advantage of the nature and say, hey, look, I'm your master. That's not what it is meant to be. That person is rendering service to please the Supreme Lord. And we should see that person as the servant of the Supreme Lord. And he's engaging his nature in the service of the Lord. It is not meant for me to exploit. It is meant for me to work together with that person to please the same Lord that he's trying to please also. Okay, so Rukmini Archivadisi, thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, thank you so much, because these are a few points which are very practical, and certain times I struggle thinking how to deal with them, what to think. But what I gained from today is that whatever we are doing, the focus needs to be bhakti. The focus needs to be pleasing the Lord, and then we should take each step in full awareness.
Correct. See, just like Prabhupada, though, he was very, very practical. For example, he could have as well thought, I'm the founder Acharya, I'm a saintly person who lived in India, so why should I clean the floor? He doesn't think like that. He doesn't think, oh, it is a menial job, why should I do? If a menial job is necessary, he will do it. So we should not be afraid, we should not be reluctant to do whatever is needed. This is my point. Whatever is needed for for pushing the Krishna consciousness individually and collectively, whatever is needed, we just need to be ready to do it. That's all. without getting hung up with positions and all the things associated with it, or oh, this is demeaning, that is demeaning, or that is nothing. What? There is nothing. We are already the most demeaned by being in this material world. It's like already we are prisoners. So what is the use of further thinking about all these kind of things? Irrelevant it is. You know, we have to become prestigious, and we become prestigious only by the service of the Lord. And in the service of the Lord, everything is absolute. So wherever there's an opportunity, we should just grab onto the opportunity to serve them. Like how Guru Maharaj used to always say, not used to, he still says, how Jayananda Prabhu, he was there wherever, whatever needed, he would do. He would see, okay, devotees are tired and sleeping, and the garbage has not been thrown out, he'll just go and throw out the garbage. He was the temple president. But he would pick the garbage and throw the garbage out. So like that, the idea is that devotional service is absolute and it is rare. So whatever is needed, so we just do it. That's all.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, very much along the same lines. That was what my question was coming. That's why I lowered my hand also, because I was just thinking, as we come into Krishna consciousness, and we are made aware that perfection of life is pure devotional service, and our aim is to go back to Godhead.
Yeah.
So whatever activity anybody may be engaged in, if it is dovetailed to as an offering to Krishna,
yes,
then that itself is meeting the end. Then where is the great necessity to classify into Varna ashram? I mean, like, agar, we're just managing to do as prescribed, to do the bhakti in the mode of bhakti, then how essential is it to really classify one into, a specific section of, either a Varna or an ashram? Is what I was thinking. I mean, but I found your answer to some extent in the previous explanation.
Okay, let me talk something practical. Okay, so okay, let me let me give you a practical example. Okay, so since I mean, my wife and me, we deal with grahastha issues quite often, and one common issue that we find is that what do you call it? There are different kinds of married couples that we encounter. Okay, and if you look at their expectations, the expectations are coming from their material conditioning or from their reading of scripture. Okay, either way, there are some expectations. That's why we have what is called the marriage questionnaire. So before marriage, they say, as they say, love is blind, marriage is the eye opener. They say, right? So people before getting married, they think marriage is the fantastic thing to get into, and it'll be all great after we get married, right? So, but if they enter it blindly, then marriage will open their eyes. So they need to enter it with an open eyes. So to enter with an open eyes, we have what's called the marriage questionnaire. So marriage questionnaire brings out the personality, what kind of a mindset someone has. And we always tell people there is no such thing as right or wrong while answering this questionnaire. Please be honest. Whatever you answer is right. Finished. There's nothing called right or wrong. Whatever you answer is right. So you may be very surprised to know that in one marriage questionnaire, there's a question in the marriage questionnaire. After marriage, who would make the decisions? Okay. So you have husband, you have wife, you have together. Okay. Who makes the decision? Husband will make the decision. Wife will make the decision. Together we'll make the decision. And if we are not able to make the decision together, then we'll consult someone who we look up to. Something like that. There are 4 choices.
Mm-hmm.
So recently, I came across a marriage questionnaire. It's not very usual to come up to that kind of a question, to come across a questionnaire like that, where the boy had written that who will make the decisions. He says the wife would make the decisions. I was pretty surprised. So when I read, when we had this, when the boy and the girl were talking, I asked him this question. You have written in your questionnaire that wife would make the decision. Is this an error, or you actually wrote this as an answer? So no, I wrote this as an answer. And he defended that answer also for whatever reasons. Okay, so then we asked the girl, okay, is this okay with you? Girl said no. Anyway, I won't get into the details of it. But the point that I'm trying to say is that there are no right or wrong. Okay, so for in a situation like this, okay, if the boy is writing, okay, the wife should make the decision, and if a wife is agreeable to that, fine. So what are we trying to make? What are we trying to do there? We are not saying what is right or what is wrong. If this is a situation that you want to be, find someone who will accept that situation, and then go on in Krishna consciousness. There'll also be I mean, not there will, there are questionnaires where the boys say that, okay, boys should make the decision. That's it. There'll be girls who will accept that. There'll be girls who will not accept it. So the point is, you have to examine what is your reality. And if you're going to get married, I'm not talking you, but I'm just in general.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. If you're going to get married, you have to ensure that the kind of nature and your expectation that you have matches with the expectation that your partner, the whoever you're going to get married to. That's it. Go on with life. So you ask me, where is it relevant? It is relevant because these are your natures. You can't overcome that, right? How will you just overcome that overnight? It cannot. Like we just tell people that in marriage, you get what you see. You cannot think that, okay, I've read the marriage questionnaire of the boy now, or I've read the marriage questionnaire of the girl now. Although the boy writes like this, but I think after marriage, he will change. And this will become this. Or similarly, the boy may think, okay, the girl is written like this. Okay, after marriage, the girl may change, it will become like this. No, that doesn't happen like that. You know, so when we asked, when we ask a specific question, how is it relevant? It is relevant because you want to have a smooth life of Krishna consciousness. You don't want these things to become an obstacle. Because if the boy and the girl start fighting on these points, then the Krishna conscious life becomes disturbed. Right? So there has to be a certain element of compatibility due to which they will not fight. Because if fighting creates disorientation in bhakti, fighting will carry them away from bhakti, doing bhakti together. So therefore, when you ask, is it relevant? It is relevant to the extent that it is conducive or not conducive for bhakti.
Correct.
See, we will one thing. See, it may not be. See, individually, it may not be relevant. In the sense that, for example, what I'm doing may not be relevant. I may be a Shudra, I may be Vaishya, I may be. It is all that is not relevant. But when you're working in a society of devotees, okay, especially the marriage, husband and wife, then you have to ensure that you are choosing a partner who's compatible with your expectations. When you say expectation, it means your conditioning. That's what it means. So it's not relevant from an absolute standpoint. It is not relevant. Yes, I agree with that. But we don't live on an absolute platform. No, we live on a relative platform, right? Our life is dependent on so many other things. That's why it's called relative. So therefore, it does have a role.
Yes, yes.
It can make devotional life smoother. That's all. It is still not dependent.
Will happen.
Bhakti is not dependent on it, but bhakti can become smoother.
Yes. So whatever functioning we have, I mean, activities that the functioning of that becomes smoother.
Exactly.
Once we are aligned, once we are aligned with the nature.
Correct. No, I wouldn't say aligned with. See, my point is, I think generally we are aligned. Okay, there are two separate things here, Bhakti. One is we do work which we are feeling satisfied. Okay, that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is our nature, which is not an isolation, right? We are always interacting with other people. Correct. So we'd also be, let's say, you are in a group of, you're amongst a group of devotees who've got uh, uh, a particular kind of nature. For example, uh, you may be with a group of devotees who are very concerned about administration. No, the temple should be managed like this, it should be managed like, and you may be a person think, I don't want to think about this. Try to say, you think, no, I don't want to think about, why should I think about this? I'm just happy serving. Correct? So these are kind of situations which will come up in everyday life. It is something which is unavoidable. So the point that I'm trying to make is, it may not be enough if one is just sufficiently engaged according to one's nature, but also the people whom you are working with will also impact you. Therefore, you have to be conscious to be able to transcend that. You have to be able to transcend it. Otherwise, you can get carried away with the pressures. Even though you don't like to be worried about administration, you may think, oh, this person is my friend. Oh, I need to please her. Oh, I need to talk something about administration. In the process, you're wasting your time also, right? Just saying.
Yeah.
So you have to be. So it is not that your nature, you just be engaged, everything will be all right. No, you'll always come into conflict with people whose natures are different. So you have to be able to transcend those differences. Transcend means what do you call it?
Overcome.
Instead of thinking I'm right, that person is wrong, hey, forget all these things. This is that person's nature. He or she thinks always about all these administrative things. I'm not thinking about all these things. Okay, so we need to come to that point of, okay, that's their nature. It's not my nature. So we need to have a dialogue. Please don't involve me in these kind of topics. It is not encouraging to me. It is unnecessarily causing me anxiety. I don't like to be involved in these kind of things. So you'll always have working relationships which always need to be sorted out. And the complexities in working relationships come up because of the natures being different. So you have to also take that into account. One is for your own engagement, one is for the relationships that you have.
Right, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Otherwise, we'll getting into thinking that I am right or that person is wrong, or I am wrong, that person is right. There's no such thing. Everybody has their nature. And we just have to transcend that while working together.
Yeah. There's so many complexities of the natures around us.
Yeah, these things will come. But the essential point is that, if we start too much getting fixated on those things, rather than the absolute activities of Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Seva, then we get unnecessarily entangled.
Yeah, lose the focus.
Exactly. That's why it says tolerance is important, right?
Yes.
Because no matter if you're engaged, whatever you like, still the unfavorable circumstances will come up. Still, people who we work at, it may not be turned out all easy. You will have a certain way of doing things. Others may have a certain other way of doing things. You may be quite often right. Others may have a very, like, for example, you may be an enthusiastic person. Other people may be complaining, oh, whining, and, oh, what is this? You'll encounter all kinds of circumstances. You'll have to learn to transcend those circumstances, not get dragged into it or dragged down by it.
Yes. So true.
So therefore, when coming back to the point, so all these things would be very nice if all these things would be convenient if the people are not just individually engaged, but also collectively engaged according to their propensities. Collective engagement is a big challenge. Individually, you may be able to do something, but collective engagement is a big challenge. So is Varnashrama important? It's not important, but it will make life much smoother. That's all.
Yeah.
Ultimately, your progress in bhakti doesn't depend on this. You just have to tolerate and transcend it and go on with life.
Yes. Got it, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you so much. Wonderful answer.
Okay, I think it's already 5:20, so we'll take up